Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And after the abject chaos of day 2 at OpTic's Major 3, we've got some drama to dive into today. Octane responding to Clayster's stair glitching cheese towards the end of the game 1 hardpoint comeback they made last night. But also Karma giving his thoughts on Ghosty. Not particularly impressed so far with his performance for the green wall. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. First of all, just wanted to say this event from what I've seen has been incredibly good so far for those in attendance. Reminds me a lot of an old school CWL style event where there's the main stage, there's the side stations that there used to be. Now of course they've got the challenger stuff as well, but there's also so much else going on at the event. And if you guys are there in attendance, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, because I've heard some great reports. Of course they've got the basketball court towards the back, they've got the setup looks great, of course the venue itself, the hall is massive, they can do a lot with it, and it just seems like there's a lot going on. So it's not just the COD that people are there for, there's all sorts to do, which I think is what really made the pre-CDL event so much fun, especially Anaheim, for example, 2019, that I was fortunate enough to be there for. So yeah, hopefully this is a really good step for OpTic and the CDL, and it does seem like this event has been absolutely killing it for those in attendance. And of course, yesterday was insane to even watch from home as well. They've been selling also these like bobbleheads, right? This apparently is Shotzzy's. Like, I don't know if that's Shotzzy, but you know, fair play. The other ones did look a little bit more like their respective characters in fairness, but I thought that was pretty entertaining. We've got to though dive into this series last night, because I discussed it last night, but I mean, man, that video was already like 18-19 minutes long. There was so much that happened, so we've got to talk about it in more detail, especially, to be honest, on the Los Angeles Thieves side of the story here. So I thought it was great to see the duo of Clay and Simp. Of course, this is after the game 2 where Temp clutched that 1 versus 1. They got smoked in the control, but they did win the final hardpoint when it mattered. They clutched up, knock out Los Angeles Thieves just as they defeated them online in their very first game to try and get to winners that they didn't even get to. They're still making a good run here so far in this tournament. And even as Clay mentions on the 2-wheel topic, right, because you've got to give credit to Clay on this. I mean, he said a few years ago that legendary tweet he did, throw me to the wolves, I'll come back leading the pack. He's basically done it again here, to be honest, because 2-wheel, he played with 2-wheel in challenges last year when he was dropped from the New York Subliners team, and he obviously saw some potential in 2-wheel that not much of the community saw. And yes, 2-wheel's not dropping crazy numbers, but he's making good plays. He's pretty icy, to be honest, in the series they played last night, and Clay seems to have managed to get the best out of him so far. So it's unbelievable to see. It's great for Clay, and as I said last night, they're just adding more legacy points day by day, and Clay is genuinely, after the series last night, knocking on the door of top 3 all time, I think, because to me, Clay was already number 4 all time, and you know, how far is he now behind Karma, realistically, given what he's achieved, the longevity of his career? You know, I value longevity very highly in terms of greatest of all time conversations, and even, like, legitimately that victory last night and the manner in which it happened was just so impressive to me, and just the fact that they took Paris Legion for being an absolutely dreadful organization. Clay comes in, and all of a sudden they're doing things, the fans are behind them, and they're actually making a good go to potentially make the World Championship this year, despite still basically zero investment into the roster. Of course, as Accuracy and Slasher talk about here, comebacks like that only happen on LAN. That's why LAN COD is just straight up better. Then the Slasher says, look, everyone's fighting on LAN till it hits 250. Online, you would lose full early on in the series in that. I'm not sure I shared the overall numbers though last night. Temp has been having an all-time tournament so far. This guy had a 1.8 against Guerrillas and a 1.3 against Thieves, and finally Temp and TJ kind of get revenge on Thieves, of course teams they formerly played for in not too distant memory, to be honest. TJ, again, his numbers aren't great to the respawns, but he was proving icy when it mattered, and of course their Search and Destroy they won, where he was pretty good again. But Thieves, man, I mean, okay, so we've got 3 players doing the classic Thieves. Last year they were the same as this, they would drop 1.1s or 1.01s to 1.1s, but Kenny has not been so good so far this year, no doubt. As soon as the talk goes around, oh, Kenny isn't so good, he'll become absolute god mode when he plays in the latter half of the season. We know that Kenny starts off slow, takes quite a while to get going, and at the end of the year is usually very good. But it must be said, Kenny has not been playing well and on a consistent basis. That from an SMG perspective, it's just not been there this season. So what's the future for this team? Because Thieves, we know, won the World Championship last year. They went back to back, and the Champs Curse is a real thing. No team that's ever won the World Championship has ever won a single event ever again, at least from a championship that happened at the end of the season. Thieves got close at Major 2. They hit that form that I expected them to get to again in losers brackets here, to be honest, or at least come close to that level. But even after they did that at Major 2, I was like, I'm still not convinced this Thieves team is going to quite be getting over the line this season. I'm not quite sure the players are as good. And maybe give it a couple of months, Kenny might be god mode again and this team is winning events. But it doesn't seem that way for now. And I do have to wonder, right, given the numbers and the way things have been going, Thieves aren't going to make a change this season, right? right? They're going to stick it out until the end of the year. But if they do make it to the end of the year and don't win anything, you've got players like Pred on the market. Now, I know that people are expecting Pred to go to OpTic, but if Pred gets offers from, you know, Thieves, from OpTic, from maybe FaZe, I mean, that's outrageous, but who knows, right? Then Pred might just go to OpTic because he obviously wanted to go there before, but if he's looking at OpTic thinking, well, they haven't really got a good coaching staff over there, how serious really are they about winning? And Thieves, of course, you know, they've won the World Championship, they've had more success in the last couple of years than OpTic have on average, so, you know, it's an interesting conversation to be having there. And even Envoy says, idiotic plays out of me, super frustrating. And of course, Nature must have been watching this thinking, damn, okay, we're losing to Vegas here, and we got bodied by FaZe the other day. They're just not quite at the level they need to be at right now if they want to be winning championships on a consistent level. Now, we've got to also mention, though, the stair glitch cheese. So this was the clip that came out last night. Well, actually, before Clay did the whole are you not entertained pose, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. But it was this moment towards the end of the game one, during that comeback, where Clay lays down on the steps here, and we know that on the stairs here, you're very difficult to see, if not impossible to see. Now, I believe that Octane did this earlier in the map, briefly or maybe by accident, and I'm guessing Clay saw that and thought, you know what, I'm going to cheese these guys back. Now, I think people have done some research into this to try and find out whether you actually can properly stair glitch on these steps and whether you do become completely invisible, and I don't know if these are the perfect steps for it. It's possible that Clay actually just completely fried here, rather than was like, you know, openly abusing this particular glitch, but nonetheless, right, you got a crucial 3-piece that helped them to win the game, and I don't really think that fans, the crowd care too much because, you know, it might be GA'd, but at the end of the day, the comeback was on, Clay made it happen. And Octane's response to this is pretty interesting. He says, yeah, guess I stair glitched map 1, but I truly didn't really think I was stair glitching from where I was on my screen. Regardless, though, that's not why we lost. Why Clay doing it was not why we lost, and that was a pathetic tournament out of all of us. GG's to Vegas. So yeah, Thieves, a really interesting question about what they should do going forwards. Gotta give credit, though, to Vegas, right, because Temp is obviously #1 in Legion series wins of all time, but already Clay and TJ this season are up to 10 series wins. Vegas got way less than that, or Paris got even way less than that last season. So Clay are 2 series wins away, Clay and TJ, from becoming the second most wins in franchise history, or at least tying Luca, Shocks, Zed, Dens, and Kismet from the Modern Warfare 2019 days. And must be said, with Rokkr struggling right now immensely, Legion are putting themselves in with a chance of making it to the World Championship. The top 7 teams to me are going to be solidified. FaZe, Ultra, New York, Thieves, Boston, OpTic, Surge. I think all of these teams will be fine. But Rokkr, again, are in a tricky predicament, and I don't think Guerrillas or Ravens are going to make it. So to me, it's between Rokkr, maybe Mutineers, and also Las Vegas Legion to try and make this happen. And after getting top 6 here, with Rokkr getting 0 points this entire stage, Legion are only 20 points off as it stands, actually getting, well, overtaking Minnesota Rokkr. And if they could somehow win today again, then they would close that gap even further. So the dream is still alive, and it didn't look like it really was before this tournament. Big credit to Donny as well, right? Because I was wondering so far this season, if Donny actually turns up, if Temp delivers what he was doing last season for Legion, then how good can this team be? And finally, Temp is playing at a high level, and, well, of course, we've seen the results, what happened last night up against Thieves, and also the Guerrillas. Quick note also on the Minnesota Rokkr, just because I know that Brett Diamond, I mentioned this tweet yesterday, but I didn't actually show it. As he says here, we expect to win championships, not be watching from home on Saturdays. We trust our coaches to get us back on track in stage 4. So, interesting statement, and I know that, of course, Aches had a very predictable response there. You might want to trust them less, boss, right? Because as Ben J. Nassim was saying on the flank last night, very passionately, to be honest, that the last 4 years they've had the same issues. I know that Aches has been saying for some time, is it time that the coaching staff on that team gets rotated? Because, you know, regardless of the team they build, they seem to have the same problems. It might need to be a more across-the-board rebuild for the Minnesota Rokkr rather than just their starting team, because, you know, it's not been working there for some time. And, you know, if they drop Bance and bring in one of their players in the Challenger team, is that really going to make a massive step? I'm not so sure. So, big questions there to be answered. The other thing I want to mention quickly, though, is Karma's thoughts on Ghosty. We know that ever since, you know, Ghosty came in and ever since Huke came in, Karma's not been particularly high on these particular players. I know that Karma's said a fair few things about Huke and also Ghosty after this particular map last night, where he says that, okay, yes, Ghosty did turn on the scene for the kill, but he was like, what was Ghosty thinking there? And, you know, definitely criticizing the gameplay because, you know, you can make a mistake and still win. You can bail yourself out with a gunfight. But if that's not the play that's going to win you the situation the highest percentage of the time, then you find yourself in a tricky spot, right? It's about expected value at the end of the day.
Or aside from that, they want to play him like a burger.
Yeah, you thought so.
Like, he turned on the guy, but, like, bro, what is he, like, damn, he's looking like a burger that map, bro.
Was he? Search it was,
Dude, I don't, he's, like, not playing confident. I mean, I get he has that, like, his job by the looks of it was like make sure like, yo,
Listen, whatever
I'm
he was
bomb
playing
checking
like
that.
prior, before that gunfight, doesn't matter.
It's been a tough month. Like,
I mean, that was a good. That was a.
So I thought on the whole, Ghosty played okay. It was cool to see him deliver in front of the crowd, and at least they got the series victory. But Karma, it must be said, has not been so hot on Ghosty, and certainly not on Huke ever since they joined the team. So yeah, intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. But today is going to be a big test for them because they played their bogey team in the Florida Mutineers, and well, of course they've got no Dave Paddy now, but I think they beat them at major. They beat them at major 1, right, without Dave Paddy either. So and then Dave Paddy came back, and then he was gone again. So you know, unlucky for Chad Paddy. But today we'll see if that curse continues. And also Fellow playing Ghosty, team that they kind of, well, obviously they teamed together not too long ago at all. Both of them made it up into the Pro League on various different teams, and now they play each other. So this is the bracket. These are all the games of today. Legion made it through. The first game is the second elimination match, OpTic versus Mutineers. We'll see the schedule here in a second. And then they've got the winners games. And these are bangers, honestly. Surge, FaZe, Breach Ultra, and then the loser, I believe, of Breach Ultra plays the Legion, and the loser of Surge FaZe plays the winner of OpTic Mutineers. Now, I'm certainly not going to count Mutineers out of this one, as I maybe accidentally did last night. So OpTic Mutineers play first, and this is a series that, look, if they'd have played New York, I would have definitely been favouring the subliners, but as it is, I think that OpTic have a better chance of winning this series than they would have done otherwise. Having said that, though, OpTic did not impress me yesterday. Mutineers kind of did, and we just know what can happen and does happen whenever OpTic tend to play Florida. So I think OpTic 3-2 is a fair prediction, but I realise I'm way behind on my current predictions on the breaking point side, so I do need to make a comeback. So I might go Florida in this one, just because OpTic have gone flip-flop every single series they've played so far, and you know, every time they've won a series, they got 3 over the next series so far this stage. So I feel like they really should win this, and then they'll probably lose too in the elimination game later in the day. But you know, if Florida could win this, it'd be kind of remarkable. Then Surge versus FaZe. Like, FaZe should be favourites, but for some reason Surge just have FaZe's number. Mack always goes God mode when he plays FaZe, and you know, I don't know, can FaZe's S&D run last forever? Surge are a team that can really take it to them in the hard points, I think. So I'm actually going to take Surge here in 4, maybe. I don't know. I just feel like Surge are coming with the fire lately, and I would just love to see how that would go if FaZe drop down to losers and have to make a bit of a run. Breach Ultra is so tough to call. Might as well flip a coin on this one. As I say, I think Ultra, I would probably take them, but I need to make a bit of a comeback in prediction, so I think I'm going to take Breach here. So I'm going to go like all upsets today, I think, to be honest. And then on my brackets, you've got Florida playing FaZe, and then you've also got Legion playing Toronto. So that's probably not going to happen at all. But hopefully it's going to be another one of those crazy days of COD to come. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
kill they need. They are fighting.
Yes!
They will not
Yes! Your time is now, James.
They start to get towards the 200-point limit. The Thieves are
Close that
being
mouth,
beaten.
James.
They are being beaten back.
Close that mouth, Sin.
Every single gunfight. What can they do? Thieves can
Oh
no
my God. Wait, they take the lead up again.
Thieves are in the descendant sea of anything. It's all absolute craziness across the map. Oh my goodness, what is going on? Hold your breath. Biggest
It's you, Banks, bro. No way. Oh my God.
It is a 7-point game as we head up towards the next hill. 19 tournaments for Clayster, and he's trying to
Oh,
put
come
every
on,
bit
bro.
of veterancy
Keep
into
it
the
up.
comeback
Yes.
that he can. 2 real finds a kill. The